Perfect. And we are streaming live.
How you doing, Norm?
I'm doing great. Here we go.
It's time for Clubhouse Chatter. Here's Norm Ordez.
That's right. Hey, we're back after a little bit of a hiatus. So I've had a crazy work schedule lately, and producer Brian's been doing some high school football. And so we're finally back in the studio. And, you know, it's almost playoff time. Major League Baseball, about a week left, winding down. And my first guest this morning is a gentleman who I met online on Facebook in one of the baseball, I think it was Baseball is Religion Facebook page. And his name is Reid Nissen, and he's from Rhode Island. And he is a baseball nut, and he's also an NFL handicapper. Alan, how you doing this morning?
Okay, Norm, how's everything with you?
It is good. It's a gorgeous morning here in Oregon. So no clouds in the sky, a little bit hazy due to the fires around. And first of all, why don't you go ahead and tell us a little bit about yourself?
Well, I'm retired now, but in the past I played college baseball for 4 years. I played semi-pro ball down in Florida. I follow the game religiously, baseball. I love the game. Eventually, after I stopped playing and everything, I fell in love with handicapping football. And so that's basically about my whole background there. And I've become very knowledgeable for over the past 20, 25 years of handicapping.
I was telling producer Brian a little bit about you, and I told him that you are quite possibly the most interesting man in Rhode Island. And
oh, wow.
You really fascinate me, and I know we've had a few conversations online, and about baseball, and you follow the 9-inning know-it-all, and I find you very knowledgeable, and you look at the game a little bit differently than what a normal fan would. And so we're going to talk playoffs, we're going to talk award winners. And we're going to look forward a little bit into 2015, and then we'll talk a little bit of NFL handicapping. So what do you got? So a week left in the season, and you've got the Orioles, the Nationals, and I believe the Angels have clinched. I think the Dodgers have clinched a playoff spot as well.
Yeah, that's true and stuff. You also have to keep in mind that teams with the best record, with the final week of the season coming down, you take teams like Los Angeles Dodgers and Washington and stuff, and the reason why is it all depends how you seat in the playoffs and how you finish with your record. So there is, besides wild card action, there's something about probably having the best record in your division or actually in your league.
Right. So my question, one of my first questions for you is, can we already write everybody off and say the Dodgers are going to win the World Series this year?
No, I think the Dodgers might have trouble, and I got a feeling that the trouble's going to be when they run into St. Louis. I figure St. Louis will meet them, and St. Louis will beat them. And the reason why is, you have to Kershaw, right? Mm-hmm. And you look at them, you got Reid, and he's been hurt, which is he's a key man to their pitching staff. And so you go down the line. Of course, you got Greinke as the 1-2 punch, right? Yep. And really, what do you have after that? So you rely on everything heavily on Kershaw to go out there and do it. And I think St. Louis, with their experience and the way they go about everything, and I have to look at St. Louis getting the edge on this. I don't see it any other way right now. And if Kershaw does come in and pitches strong, well, that changes the tide of everything. But I don't see it going that way. I got a feeling he'll struggle in one of those games.
I think the Dodgers, on paper, they definitely, I think, have one of the best teams, if not the best lineup. But they've got some clubhouse issues. And I've been saying this all season long, that, you've got Kemp, you've got Ethier, you've got Puig, you've got Peterson, who's up now, and then, you got a problem in that outfield. And, Kemp isn't. I don't think Kemp is 100% happy. Ethier's not happy, and Puig is Puig, and that causes a problem in the clubhouse.
Oh yeah, for sure. Just the other night, I was watching the highlights, and there I seen Kemp and Puig going at it, and Kemp had to go leave the dugout because Puig was starting something with him again. And I was watching the game against the Cubs, and Crawford looked like he was lost in left field trying to play defense. And there's a logjam on the bench, and above all, and I'm not saying this in a bad way, but Don Mattingly is a manager. He's a good manager, but when it comes to controlling the pitching staff, he's really not that strong at really managing a pitching staff compared to like a Buck Showalter. He gets the most out of what he has.
So you have the Cardinals going deep. Do the Cardinals win it all?
No, I'm going back and I'm looking at Washington. I really like Washington. I think Washington has they have all the players in place to do it. They got Zimmerman back. So, I really like Washington. Again, look at their rotation. They got Strasburg, Zimmerman, Ellis, and Fister.
Right.
And I think that's formidable enough to really represent the National League. And I don't think San Francisco or Pittsburgh really have the pitching right now. If St. Louis gets by the Dodgers, it could be St. Louis and Washington playing to see who goes to the World Series. And that'll be interesting. But I'm going to go with Washington all the way on that.
And who do you like in the American League? You there?
Yes.
Who do you like in the American League?
In the American League, well, we're still waiting on some of the teams here, like especially in the wild card and stuff. Like I was talking before about Seattle and Kansas City or Oakland, whatever that combination is. But again, I go strongly with pitching when it comes to playoffs. And Seattle and Oakland definitely represent that division. But I think Oakland has a little bit more in the tank. I think they have more depth in their rotation. They have Lester, Samajna, Gray, Casimir, and Jason Hamill. So I think that Oakland could advance, and I think Oakland could actually give Los Angeles Angels a lot of trouble. And eventually I think it'll be Oakland against Detroit, and I think Detroit's going to get in there. And it's going to be Detroit-Washington World Series.
That could be an interesting series. So speaking of Detroit, we were talking about, Miguel Cabrera is starting to heat up, and I threw out, I think one of the key factors in the playoffs will be Victor Martinez. And
for sure.
I think that he's definitely underrated, and we had talked a little bit about, the guy struck out 40 times this year.
That's it.
And you made a case for most valuable player in the American League for him.
Yes, I did, and that's above Trout and Kano, and that's in real good company.
It is.
The reason why was, if you look at Trout's struck out 176 times this year.
Yep.
Kano did pretty good. He's at 65 Ks, but when you're talking about overall numbers with power, slugging percentages, and everything, Victor Martinez is right up there with Mike Trout.
Yes, he is.
And his batting average is about 40 points more.
Yep, less strikeouts, about 130 less strikeouts. And so speaking of awards, so who do you have winning the NL Cy Young?
The NL Cy Young, you got to, of course, take Kershaw. There's no doubt about it. Cy Young for Kershaw. But I'm one of those believers that I don't think a pitcher should win the MVP.
Exactly. I agree with you. I agree with you.
Kershaw, the guy's a bulldog. The guy plays hard. The guy really hustles. I really like the guy. But, it's a runaway with the Cy Young. But I got to start leaning more towards McCutchen in the MVP.
Again, yep.
He could win it, though. Kershaw could win both of them.
Right. And how about Rookie of the Year? National League Rookie of the Year.
National League Rookie of the Year, I'm going to go with the pitcher Jacob deGrom on the Mets over Billy Hamilton. In the span of time that he's been in the league, since he's been called up and everything, he's like something like 8-6, and he has an ERA in the mid-twos and a 1.13 whip, something like that. And the thing about Hamilton's had a full season, not bad for a rookie. with 56 stolen bases, but you're talking about more of a one-dimensional player, and he only hit 255 and non-best base percentage of 296.
Right.
So with that in combination, and also he struck out 114 times. So when you got a guy in the top of your order, and he's striking out 114 times, that's not good.
And how about the American League? Who do you have as the award winners?
No, there's this one guy, hands down, Jose Abreu on the White Sox. Guy's amazing. He caught me by surprise. I wasn't sure what to expect. I thought I was going to find Orestes Estrada or something, but this guy came on. In the month of April, my jaw dropped. I couldn't believe it. And then I said to myself, well, let's see if he can keep it up. And he kept it up. He even did this over injury. He came back from injury, and he still put up the numbers.
Right.
And he played for a bad team.
Yep.
So, this guy was like, his high on-base percentage, I think, is over 3.5 or 3.6. I'm not too sure of that. And he has all the power numbers, the runs batted in. He has like 33 homers and 30-something doubles. I might be wrong on that, but I'm in the ballpark.
Right.
But, everything here points to where nobody even competes with him for that award. So it's Jose Abreu. I really like him.
And how about the MVP and the Cy Young?
MVP and the Cy Young. Well, again, the MVP, I'm going to go Kershaw for the Cy Young in the National League. MVP McCutchen on the Pirates. And the MVP in the American League, I like Victor Martinez. And for the Cy Young, I like Felix Hernandez.
Yeah, King Felix has had a pretty good season, and the Mariners have definitely improved. So I have a Jose Abreu story. It's kind of interesting. So my wife doesn't know about this yet, but I bought a box, $20 blaster box of Bowman Platinum from Walmart yesterday. And the very first pack out of that box, the second card in, I pull a gold refractor autograph, number 50 of 50 of Jose Abreu. And
wow.
It is rare. I mean, out of the blaster box from Walmart, you normally don't get stuff like that.
Not at all.
And so
that's a special card.
It is. And it's going anywhere from like $225 to $1,000 on eBay right now. So I'm definitely gonna hold on to that one for a little bit. So we'll see. If anybody's out there who wants to buy a Jose Abreu autograph, 50 of 50, hey, contact me. So let's talk a little bit about football. I mean, how did you get interested in handicapping football?
I got interested in handicapping football after I finished playing baseball going back years ago. I started studying, I started listening to experts, and I started doing my homework on games and really looking into it. And eventually I got pretty decent at it, and I just for the fun and love of doing it, I do it every year. And I try to help people out that ask me. I don't charge fees or anything. I just share my knowledge, and I have a group on the Facebook network, and anybody's welcome to join.
So this week, who is your tip? Who is your pick for the week?
Well, I'll tell you what. I'm going to go on a limb. I'm going to go with long shots. Probably people won't take them because this week the games are tough and the lines are really strong. So you got to be careful. But if I'm going to take an upset, right, I'm going to take Cleveland plus 1.5 over Baltimore.
Oh.
Yeah, and the reason why is that Baltimore, when they were on national TV, right, last week against Pittsburgh, don't think Baltimore's that good. It's the problem is that Pittsburgh's that bad.
Right.
And don't forget, Cleveland's coming off that big win over New Orleans, and they're gonna be motivated. They have a confidence builder off that game. I feel they're going to come in there and do good with Cameron and West on the offense. So I think that they're going to give them a football game where Pittsburgh didn't do it. So I'm going to stick with Cleveland on that one. And if overall, if you want to play a good parlay with something with money lines or whatever you like on that, You got to look at teams with must wins like New Orleans over Minnesota. They're playing in the Dome. The other one is Indianapolis over Jacksonville. You know, there's another must win for somebody. Another game I like because it all works out mathematically in the way they have to travel with their schedule. I like New England over Oakland.
Right.
You know, that should be a big one there. New England comes back for their first home game. And you know how it is for 1 p.m. teams that start on Sunday from the West Coast. They have a very, very bad track record. And even when they came over and played the Jets in week 1, you see what the Jets did.
How about Seattle and Denver?
Seattle and Denver. Well, you got a physical team against Denver, and they're playing with the 12th man up in Seattle. And I'll tell you one thing. As good as Manning is, with the crowd noise and everything, that's going to be a question. Will his offensive line give him protection? And the one thing is the receivers could expect to be handled physically. The other thing I'm questioning right now is Welker. I don't know what the timing is between him and Manning, how good they're going to do. So there's a lot of things up in the air. And don't forget, Seattle's coming off that loss to San Diego. And they played like 110-degree heat in San Diego that Sunday in dark uniforms. And I think eventually they ran out of juice. They had a hard-fought game. But now they come back home. They're in their surroundings, and they're one of the strongest teams when they play at home. So I got to still take them over Denver as much as Denver wants revenge.
Nice. So do you have a website at all?
Not really. If you just go over into Facebook there, I'm under NFL Football Handicappers Insider.
And check him out. You know, I've like I said, you know, I met him in a baseball Facebook page, and we played fantasy baseball together this year. And I find Allan very knowledgeable. I've been following his football picks and stuff like that. And the guy's pretty good. And once again, you know, he's free, and so check him out. Once again, Allan Reid Nissen. And Allan, we would love to have you back on the show sometime here in the future.
Anytime, Norm. You're a great guy. I love your show, and anytime I can help out or just help out somebody on a football game or talk baseball, I'd love to do it.
Sounds good, Allan, and we'll definitely talk to you a little bit later.
Okay now, Norm.
All right, you have a great day. Thank you.
You too now. Bye.
So once again, Allan Reid Nissen from Rhode Island, and Brian, man, he's real interesting.
He's very interesting.
He's a great guy. He knows his stuff. Especially, I mean, he's a numbers guy.
I kind of rolled my eyes when I saw the little preview, like, we're going to talk football, really? And no, this was the best. I mean, this was great. He knows his baseball, and some insight that I didn't even think about with the pitching and everything else. And, you know, he's changed my mind on some MVP guys. So, very cool.
You know, we talked about Victor Martinez, and I've had my eye on him all season long.
That's the one.
And I knew he hadn't striked out that much, but I didn't realize that his numbers were so close to Trout. And, I mean, if they're that close and he's like 2 or 3 home runs behind Trout, but he's got 130-some strikeouts less, how can you not give him the most valuable player?
I agree. I didn't even think about it. I mean, I thought Trout. It's Martinez now. I mean, he changed my mind today.
And Trout deserves it as well. I mean, there's no doubt about it. You know, Trout has had a great season. But, you know, Cabrera was down a little bit this year. V-Mart carried the team, and he's just stayed steady the whole season.
It's going to be interesting. So
I'd like to plug our sponsors. We are part of the 9-Inning Know-It-All group, and you can find us on yamhilltoday.com. We're always streaming live. Baseballism. Check them out, baseballism.com. You can go on their site, check out, buy some stuff. Throw in Clubhouse Chatter, save 15% off. Base by Pros, Mitch Canham. MDM Designs, his dad, Mark Canham, does our shirts. And we're wearing Baseball Dudes hats today, Brian and I are. So Chris Gazelle, the pitching coach over there in Ogden, lives up in Vancouver. And so baseballdudes.com, his stuff is free. Check it out. He's got some good stuff. And I get my hair cut at Proper Cuts Barbershop with Carlos and Boys down there on Baker Street. We'll take a brief break, and we're going to come back with former New York Mets farmhand Lenny Langlos, and he will give his take on the playoffs and award winners coming up. We'll be right back.